The Constitution of Kenya Amendment Bill 2020 was gazetted on the 25th November 2020. The bill reflects significant changes to the Bomas II document, adopting a number of concerns raised by stakeholders, including the following. The proposals on political party representation in IMBC through the appointment of commissioners has been dropped. The fair implication of having some players choosing the game's umpire has been noted and accepted. Similarly, the problematic idea of police council, ended by a cabinet minister, has been abandoned. The independence of the police service has therefore been retained. The proposed 70 nominated seats have been converted to representative electoral seats. A nominated seat would have benefited the individual nominee and encouraged political interference and manipulation of parliament. On the other hand, elective seats benefit constituencies through representation and the allocation of meaningful development resources. Moreover, historically, marginalized communities have secured protection by the extension of the validity of the equalization fund period to 30 years. The proposals that would have undermined the role of Senate have been abandoned. The alternative enhancement is a development in a positive direction. The role of Senate is vital to our governance. The Constituency Development Fund, CDF, a critical tool for community-level socio-economic development, is now proposed to be anchored in the Constitution. The Bureau has a proposal that would anchor matters touching on the economy and the shared prosperity in the Constitution. Legislation to actualize and operationalize these proposals will be enacted within a year to give effect to what would otherwise have been abstract values. Article 11 here mainstreams the hustler economy, as well as the mandatory requirement for the President to make a report on the status of the achievement of economic and social rights. This proposal will safeguard the protection and actualization of the critical interests of the agricultural and the hustler sectors. As a consequence, within 1 year, legislation on guaranteed minimum return for all farmers, maize, coffee, wheat, tea, korosho, dengu, fish, livestock, potatoes, cabbages, miraa, among others, which is a vital anchor of productivity in the agriculture and food production, will be enacted as will be legislation for the establishment of the Livestock Marketing Authority. Similarly, legislation on a fund to support the hustler economy, micro, small, medium enterprise fund, and the entire wheelbarrow economic ecosystem will be enacted. From the foregoing, it is therefore clear that significant progress was made between Bomas II and KICC, and that the amendment bill adopted major inputs of stakeholders in fairly explicit terms. In essence, the gazetted document is a positively progressive development compared with the Bomas document. Our position post-Bomas that there was no way this process would proceed without bringing on board important sectors and constituencies that could have been overlooked has been vindicated. It is emphatically clear that the issues, concerns, and interests of ordinary people have found their way to the main table and are part of the national conversation. This is as it ought to be, and this must become the basis of all meaningful national deliberation going on forward.
Outstanding issues and opportunities to strike consensus. However, a number of issues raised by various stakeholders, including ourselves, remain outstanding and are yet to be conclusively and exhaustively addressed. The idea of accountability for all government organs is a strongly held tenet of democracy. The proposal on a judicial ombudsman speaks to the issue of accountability of judicial officers. We, however, strongly believe that judicial independence matters and must never be undermined, even if only in perception. We submit, therefore, that there still remain room for the Ombudsman's appointment mechanism to be reviewed and agreed upon and for the appointment of the Ombudsman by the Judicial Service Commission or the Chief Justice will be more consistent with the principles of judicial independence than appointment by the executive, which runs contrary to the principles of separation of powers. At Bomas too, we oppose the establishment of 70 multi-member constituencies, seeking to move away from a culture of nominations and virtual constituencies. We are happy that the 70 constituencies which have been proposed to enhance representation. While we agree with the principle of equality and equity in representation, IEBC should vary the proposed constituencies by up to 20% so as to capture and accommodate the most expansive, arid, and largely marginalized areas, including Garissa, Nyeri, Wajir, Nyandarua, Kitui, Kisii, and Migori. The proposals on affirmative action and equality in representation are important principles, and there is a progressive attempt to address them. However, the outcome of the current proposal is that combined with nominations required to meet the two-thirds rule in accordance with Article 81, the size of Parliament will increase from 416 seats to as high as 640. An increase of more than 200 MPs is untenable and a hugely unsustainable burden on the taxpayer. We bring back to the taxpayer. We propose that, in addition to the 47 women elected to the Senate, we bring back the 47 women representatives elected to National Assembly. We note that this will allow for the elected women in the National Assembly to be nominated to the cabinet. We further propose all women representatives in Parliament be directly elected by defined constituencies and should not be nominated or elected through party lists. In addition, we propose further discussion in Parliament on the implementation of Article 81.
Thus, in furtherance of the above, we have three proposals to make. First, even with the post-Bomas gains and the improvement to the document, these outstanding issues require attention, and we should build the necessary consensus to further enrich the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, especially because we have to acknowledge certain realities, including the fact that the people of Kenya have voiced strong concern about the prudence of a bloated government. Second, and imperatively, the BBI recommendation do not propose a constitutional replacement through the repeal and promulgation, but rather an amendment of various discrete provisions. This calls into question the appropriateness of framing the referendum as a single question plebiscite when multiple issues must be considered. A multiple choice referendum is clearly more appropriate and as provided for in the current bill before Parliament, the referendum bill by the COIC Chair, Honorable Jeremiah Kioni, we feel we should take that route. Third, we must consider the circumstance which we find ourselves as a country. We are in the midst of a deadly pandemic that has ravaged our country, killing close to 1,500 Kenyans, including our frontline health workers, infecting nearly 100,000 Kenyans, and affecting the livelihood of millions of others, straining public health sector, and instigating an economic and a financial meltdown. The deepening financial quagmire has led to the destruction of livelihoods, of enterprises owned mainly by the hustlers, and consequential loss of jobs and shrinks of revenue, as evidenced by the last quarter posting of the Kenya Revenue Authority that ended in October. Additionally, we are haunted by the reality that we are yet to create confidence in our education system, ability to make schools safe enough for our children to resume school in January because of the myriad challenges facing the entire education and school system, which has remained largely unaddressed. Given the foregoing, it is legitimate to question the wisdom of spending 14 billion shillings a year before an election that will cost us another 42 billion going by the 2017 figures of the IEBC, when a referendum could be conducted as the 7th ballot in a general election at a virtually no cost. We believe that it's prudent to hold the referendum, and we are proposing that, along having done all the others. Take it to the county assemblies, take to parliament, and the only remaining item is for the citizens to vote in. We can defer that, and we feel it is prudent to hold that referendum along with the general election in 2022, inshallah.
Therefore, encouraged by this demonstration of a very real prospect of finally converging towards respectful, code and peaceful consensus on the matter of BBI related, the prospect of reggae becoming Jerusalem. Emphasizing our long-held and firm-maintained position that we must avoid contentious, win-lose, divisive, or acrimonious referendum that hold the potential to breed hate, ethnic polarization, and conflict, cognizant that we are in the midst of the deadly pandemic that has ravaged our country, aware of a struggling economy which is on the verge of full-scale collapse, aware of a struggling economy which is on the verge of a full-scale collapse, recognizing that we have not built the capacity to handle the huge risk that comes with the reopening of schools, as well as tremendous financial outlay required to enhance school facilities in this COVID phase. And after broad consultation, length engagement, and robust deliberation with a wide spectrum of various stakeholders on the matter of the Constitutional Amendment Bill 2020, we appreciate the good proposal in the amendment bill and also acknowledge the positive efforts made in accommodating various concerns relating to outstanding issues as indicative of progress towards consensus. With the progress we are making in building consensus on important constitutional, institutional, and administrative changes, we recommend that resources earmarked for BBI-related activities be redirected to COVID mitigation measures and supporting the recovery of micro and small enterprises. As a part of the consensus, we will be asking for clear directions on issues of land and historical injustices.
Based on the above, our position is as follows. We care far too much for our country and fellow Kenyans to reduce this important exercise to a question of yes and no. Not just because it is premature and simplistic, but because there is real progress towards consensus that we need to resolve outstanding issues inclusively, exhaustively, and conclusively. Democracy provides us with infinite opportunity for deliberative consensus building. It is how great societies are built. It is how all Kenyans, in their great diversity, come together to make a beautiful future for themselves and for future generations. It is worth stating, time without number, that consensus is the right thing to do and the right way to go. We must therefore never tire or relent or give up doing the right thing. Consensus entails both speaking and listening. We must listen to one another. The time is always right for consensus building. Therefore, we submit once more that it is never too late to do the right thing. Every time is consensus time. We have been asked what we mean by consensus. The consensus we seek and this country needs is in relation to content, process, and timing. In short, we must agree on the what, the how, and when. The consensus is to align the process with its founding objectives and bring it closer to the dreams and aspirations of Kenyans. By content, we mean we resolve outstanding issues through consensus, including issues on judicial independence, bloated government and legislature, equity and equality in the presentation and affirmative action, among others. By process, we mean providing a multiple choice plebiscite to prevent the rejection of good ideas. By timing, we mean we should hold the referendum in 2022 together with the general election in order to save costs and direct available resources to mitigating the effects of COVID-19. Let all with one accord, in common board united, build this, our nation, together. Thank you.
Largely, I think everything that needed to be said by this team has been said by the speakers who have read our statement. We will make the statement available to members of the media. And the statement we have made here, we have made the statement in very good faith, because this is our country. We are leaders in this country, and we must provide leadership as we engage with other leaders in the exercise of building consensus so that we can avoid an unnecessary divisive contest. In a nutshell, let me say that we appreciate the challenges this process has gone through. We appreciate that there has been a lot of push and pull. Many of the members of this team have been victimized for holding different opinions from those of others. We believe and we ask that we want to walk together this journey. We are not making any demands of anybody. We are putting our case. And we believe that we have a very strong case. The same way, in Bomas, there were proposals that had been put on the table. This team, the church, the Muslim community, pastoralists, members of county assemblies, council of governors, and a host of other stakeholders made their contributions to what was presented in Bomas. those proposals were taken on board. A majority of those proposals were taken on board, as has been stated here by members of this team. We appreciate that the IEBC will not be politicized and they can be an independent institution to run our elections independent of political parties. We also appreciate that the independence of the police has been captured and secured. We also agree that the Senate must be left with the duties and responsibilities that they have carried out so far, and we appreciate even further that additional responsibilities have been given to the Senate, as the Senate of Kenya is a critical institution in matters devolution and in matters taking Kenya forward. We also appreciate that the Article 11A, which many members of this team canvassed on ensuring that ordinary people and their issues are part of the discussion. Finally, we have Article 11A that speaks to the economy and shared prosperity that will ensure that every citizen, especially the micro, the small enterprises, the pastoralists, the people in our farms, and the many Kenyans who ordinarily are not made part of the discussion and ordinarily are not part of the Constitution. For the first time, we have their issues firmly embedded in the Constitution. And it is important to also note that a timeline has been placed on the actualization of Article 11A. Within 1 year, we should be able to implement all the issues to do with pastoralists and the marketing of their issues, matters to do with guaranteed minimum returns of all our products, ensuring that the hustler economy has a fund that is going to ensure that we support micro, small enterprises to grow into serious businesses. And members of this team are going to make sure that the necessary legislation to operationalize Article 11A will be put in place as soon as possible. In fact, the Honorable Ndindi Nyoro already has a bill on GMR that now is going to be anchored in the constitutional provision under Article 11A. We have also, the Constitution now makes it mandatory that the President of Kenya will go to Parliament every year to give a State of the Nation address on the matter of shared prosperity, on the matter of attainment and progress made on ensuring that no Kenyans are left behind. That is important to as many ordinary Kenyans as it is to us and every Kenyan. Having said that, we have taken the position that there is room for us to improve this document further. And we have stated categorically and respectfully that it is never too late to do the right thing. We believe that there are a couple of outstanding issues. The judiciary is still uncomfortable, for example, with the judiciary ombudsman and the manner in which it's appointed. We all agree that accountability is central to the performance of any arm of government, including the judiciary. And we are making proposal here that it is possible for us to agree that an ombudsman be appointed in a manner that is acceptable to the judiciary, either proposed by the JSC or appointed by the Chief Justice and vetted by Parliament, so that we have checks and balances. We are also saying, because we are making that proposal because we are sensitive to the centrality of independence of the judiciary. We do not want to send any signal that we want to compromise the independence of the judiciary. Yet, we must hold the judiciary to account. So we must balance between those two rights. Secondly, we are also making the proposal on the size of Parliament, the size of the executive. Kenyans are concerned about how much it costs for them to run government. And the proposal we are making here is that we can have a win-win. We agree with the proposal that appointments, or not appointments, but in Senate, 47 women are elected as senators. But we are of the view that instead of too much nomination, we should again elect women reps, as we have done to National Assembly. We are saying that because we want the participation and contribution of women leaders to be substantial, meaningful, and not token representation. It is in the National Assembly that discussions on matters budget, matters resource allocation, serious matters of how to take the country forward is taking place. And it is important that we have elected women in the National Assembly. So the proposal we are making is that apart from the 47 women elected in Senate, we should have 47 women elected in the National Assembly. And with that, we should be able to reduce the number of nominations. And our target, the current proposal in BBI, would take Parliament all the way towards 600 members. This proposal will make Parliament, we will cut almost 60 or 70 members if we adopt this proposal. So we are saying we can cut down the size of Parliament by up to almost 60 or 70 members of Parliament if we adopt this proposal we are making. And therefore, I do not think anybody can say that it is too late to make a huge saving on the kind of savings we are going to make if we adopt a proposal that reduces substantially the size of our legislature. We are also of the firm belief that adjustments can be made. We agree on the principle of the new 70 constituencies. Why do we say so? The position of this team all along is that in Bomas, it was suggested that these are people who will be appointed. They will just be members of Parliament. Our position is nominating members of Parliament gives jobs to people, and the public benefits nothing. Therefore, we suggested that the 70, instead of being nomination of persons, it be converted to constituencies. As we've said here, that was done. We now have 70 constituencies. All we are requesting now going forward is that the 70 constituencies will be delimited by IEBC that we give a window to IEBC to vary slightly up to about 20%, because we agree with the original principle that there must be equality of representation. And there is a case that has been made that there are sections, counties in our country that are underrepresented. We believe that we can balance that requirement of equality in representation by allowing the IEBC to vary slightly, because we have huge areas, like we have said, in Kitui that have raised concerns, in Garissa, for example, Ijara, that have raised concerns, in Wajir, as Wajir South, that have raised concern, in Nyeri, Kieni is 52% of Nyeri County. In Nyandarua, where we have Kinangop here, which is a huge constituency. In Migori, in Kisii, and Marsabit, and those areas. So what we are saying is there is room. If we just put a rider in the BBI text that 70 constituencies, as the IEBC is delimiting the 70 constituencies, they are allowed to vary to an extent of 20% so that we can take care of the areas that have raised concern. And we are not saying the areas we have just listed. I think there are, among others, there are more areas that have said that, but we do not believe there will be more than 10 or 12 areas that need to be considered. And finally, I think we have also been cognizant that we do not, I think many Kenyans have been wondering, why are we insisting on a consensus on process? We have been insisting on consensus on process because we know there is a way we can make this referendum win-win. We know there is a way we can accommodate everybody. We know there is a way we can remove this referendum from being win-lose. There is a mechanism that can allow us to vote on the issues instead of the personalization of the referendum. We do not want the referendum to be so-and-so versus so-and-so, because so-and-so is leading this place, is leading no, and so-and-so is leading yes. That, in my opinion, is backward. In fact, we are reducing the referendum to something else. We can make it much more progressive by providing a mechanism for Kenyans to vote on the issues. We have, as a team here, agreed that we will support the proposal by CIOC in Parliament to provide a mechanism in the referendum where Kenyans can vote on issues, not just a yes-no referendum. Maybe I will explain a bit. For example, there are Kenyans who have no issue with 35% going to the counties, and they want to vote yes. But there is a Kenyan who has a problem with the judiciary ombudsman. He wants to vote no. Why do we force a Kenyan to vote for something he does not want, or to vote against something he wants? It is practically possible for us to give an opportunity for Kenyans to vote yes for resources going to the county, and to vote no for what he doesn't want or she doesn't want. And that is the opportunity we are saying should be made available to Kenyans. What will that do? The opportunity to allow Kenyans to vote on issues will completely remove this us versus them, no, yes referendum contest. Completely. It will remove it. There will be no need for us now to have teams campaigning yes this way, others campaigning no that way. We will then focus on issues. which are the issues Kenyans will vote for, which are the issues Kenyans will not vote for, and the reasons why, and we can always take this forward. And let me say for the record that it was okay for us to vote no yes in the last referendum because we were enacting a new constitution. So the vote was between the current and the old. Now we are not voting for the whole constitution. We are voting for articles of the constitution. So it is perfectly in order for us to assemble articles that are together and vote for them separately. And that's all we are asking. We are also saying, as responsible Kenyans and as responsible leaders, that and as responsible leaders, we are saying we are in the middle of a pandemic that has ravaged our country. Many Kenyans have become victims of the COVID-19 virus. Many Kenyans have lost loved ones. Some have gone through untold suffering, including members present here in hospitals. Many Kenyans are not able to afford, you saw, I think it is in the media, that it costs about 21,000 every day. Very few Kenyans can afford that kind of costs. And the attendant issues of a financial crisis that has been occasioned by the corona pandemic. We want a discussion, a candid discussion. Our proposal is we should commit every resource that is available towards tackling the corona pandemics, alleviating the serious crisis in our economy, making sure that in January there are face masks, there are desks, there are facilities for our kids in school in January, and that there is a possibility for us to take this referendum together with the election in 2022. We want to offer a discussion. We are not saying that it is cast in stone. We want to be persuaded why it's not possible for us to do it in 2022. Our proposal is we can do it together with the election in 2022. So these are proposals we are putting on the table in good faith. And we are requesting the other stakeholders. We are requesting the other stakeholders. To give us, to engage with us, so that we can responsibly be able to prosecute this initiative together. Many of you may want to ask me, maybe Kenyans will get confused, maybe how will they vote for the different items? But let me answer it this way. When Kenyans go to vote in an election, they vote for MCA, Member of Parliament, Women Rep, Senator, Governor, President, 6 positions, right? In the 6 positions they vote for, there are 10 candidates for one position, 15 for another. They are literally voting from a group of almost 100 people. But they still manage to identify who they want. So if we make this referendum 6 or 7 questions, independent questions, there is absolutely no difference with how Kenyans vote when they go for election. So it is absolutely reasonable for us to isolate 5, 6, 7 items, itemize them, and Kenyans can vote independently like the way they do in every general election. Nimeelezwa ya kwamba nifanye summary kidogo kwa lugha ya Kiswahili. I'm not good at it. I don't know. Nani ata imetosha No, lakini wacha niseme hivi. Tumefanya mkutano wa kundi letu hapa, wabunge 146 na senators 7 pamoja na viongozi wengine wengi waliohudhuria kikao hiki. Wengi wetu hapa ni wa kutoka vyama mbalimbali, kwa sababu jambo hili la kubadilisha katiba sio jambo la chama, ni jambo ambalo linahusu wa Kenya kwa jumla. Tumekubaliana na yale mambo ambayo yameshughulikiwa kutoka Bomas mpaka KICC. Tumeona ya kwamba kuna mambo wa Kenya stakeholders mbalimbali walitoa maoni yao, na mambo kadha yamechukuliwa na sasa imewekwa katika katiba ambayo imependekezwa. Kati ya mambo yale ni kuondoa mambo ya shida ya polisi, mambo ya IBC imewachwa, hakuna matatizo tena. Wacha tu niseme hii Kiswahili ni sawa. Mambo yale mengine yote yameshughulikiwa, lakini tumesema ili tuweze kutembea pamoja kama Wakenya, kuna mambo machache ambayo pia ni ya muhimu. Bado kuna utata mambo ya judiciary na independence ya judiciary. Tuko na mapendekezo ya vile kuondoa utata huo. Tuko na maneno ya representation ambayo tumekubali kwamba sehemu za wakilishi bunge zingine 70 ziundwe, lakini tumependekeza ya kwamba 20% IEBC, kamati ambayo inasimamia uchaguzi, wapatiwe nafasi 20% waweze kurekebisha, ndio tuweze kushughulikia sehemu ambazo wametoa malalamiko. Vile vile tumekubaliana ya kwamba bunge, Wakenya wengi wanalalamika kuhusu kiasi ya pesa ambayo itatumika katika kuendesha bunge mpya, na tumetoa mapendekezo ya kwamba tunaweza kupunguza kutoka ile bunge BBI imependekeza, tunaweza kuondoa wabunge wengine karibu 50-60 ili tuweze kupunguza size ya bunge na kupunguza pia gharama ya wananchi katika mambo ya kuendesha mambo yao. Na mwisho tumesema vile vile hatutaki kwenda kwenye kura ya maoni, naitwa kura ya maamuzi, hatutaki kwenda kwenye kura ya maamuzi ya kusema tu ndio ama la. Bunge letu la Kenya tayari inatengeneza sheria ambayo itasimamia mambo ya referendum, na hiyo sheria inapendekeza ya kwamba kuwe na kura katika articles ama vipengele tofauti. Hakuna haja ya kusema ndio ama la. Kama unapenda mambo ya 35%, 35% kwenda kwa county, unaweza kusema ndio. Kama kuna kipengele ingine hauamini, unaweza kusema la. Na inawezekana tuwe na maswali kama 5, 6 ama 7 ili tusiende katika kukataa ili hali uko na mambo ambayo ungependa yapite kule ndani, ama kukubali ili hali uko na mambo kule ndani ambayo ungependa isipitishwe. Kwa hivyo tumekubaliana ya kwamba sisi wabunge walio hapa wataunga mkono sheria iliyo bunge ya kamati inayosimamia mambo ya kutekelezwa kwa katiba ya Kioni, ili tuwe na nafasi ya referendum ambayo itakuwa na maswali kuzidi moja katika vipengele tofauti. Na vile vile tumesema kwa sababu ya hali ya uchumi iliyoko katika taifa letu la Kenya na kwa sababu ya matatizo ya ugonjwa wa corona, Wakenya wengi hawawezi kujimudu kulipa gharama ya matibabu. Tuko na matatizo, watoto wetu Januari kurudi shuleni, lazima masks zinunuliwe, madawati zinunuliwe, expansion ya facilities katika shule ishughulikiwe. Tulikuwa tunapendekeza hii bilioni 15 badala ya kutumika kwenye referendum, tuweze kutumia hiyo pesa kushughulikia janga la corona na mambo ya uchumi ambayo iko chini kwa saa hizi, na tuweze kupiga kura hii ya maamuzi pamoja na uchaguzi 2022. Hiyo ndio mapendekezo yetu, na tunawauliza ndugu zetu wengine tuweze kuongea, tuweze kutafuta uwiano na maelewano na makubaliano ili tuweze kutembea pamoja kama Wakenya. Sisi tunaamini inawezekana hii draft constitution proposal ambayo imewekwa inaweza kuwa republished tena, ikichukua maoni, inaweza kuchapishwa upya ili ikichukua maoni kama sisi wote tutakubaliana twende barabara hiyo. Asante sana. Si nimejaribu kiasi? Sasa nitachukua maswali. Sorry. Nani? Pole bwana Leto.
Kwa sawa. Mimi naitwa Steven Leto wa Citizen TV. The proponents of the BBI referendum have said on Wednesday last week that the window for more amendments was already closed. Proposals from the Ilchamus community as well as from Mombasa were rejected, and that the signature collection is already ongoing. Number one, with your new recommendations that you've brought forward, are you then seeking a suspension of the ongoing signature collection drive? And number two, the Secretariat has released timelines to have the referendum conducted before or by June next year. Should all these demands that you've made today not be met, including the consensus, are you going to flush the no card?
Thank you very much. I'm sure you are not new to the issue that the door is closed. Even in Bomas, we were told the door is closed. But our position is that it is never too late to do the right thing. This is our country. There are people who are saying it is late. How is it late? What is the crisis? What is the problem? This is our country. I want anybody to discount the proposals we are making here on the size of Parliament, on the need for consensus on the Ombudsman, on the need for consensus on the constituencies, if they are not reasonable. You can only discount them that they are not reasonable. But if they are reasonable, honestly, all it will take is to republish the bill and we go to the referendum. We have absolutely no problem with the collection of signatures. A collection of signatures is the easy part. That is just a process issue. What is more important is the content of what we are going to vote for. And that is our concern at the moment. Our priority at the moment is to improve the content of the text that will be voted for. The collection of signatures is the easy part.
My name is Nicholas Delay from
and maybe just to answer your question further, to say, let us not be simplistic and say, are you going to vote no or yes? That's a very simplistic approach. If we had taken that approach, we would not have made the improvements we have made from Bomas to KICC. Many people were pushing that the people who have better ideas should go and join the no team. We think that is not, that's actually reckless, you know. It's not right. I think consensus requires that we listen to one another. In fact, building bridges means you have to reach out to the other side. I think it is even against the spirit of building bridges for anybody to shut a door on a good idea. Yes, my good friend.
Nicholas Delay from CAST TV. My question is, the advisory from CJ Maraga was there while we have the women representative in the House of the National Assembly. Your proposal says we retain the women rep, the 47 of them, as well as get the senators, women, 47 of them. How does this cure the question of two-that?
To get news as it happens on your phone, subscribe to 20538 for only 6 shillings.
Hapa Nyamware tuko na shida ya maji ikiwa mingi. Kunakuwa na floods. Tunahama hata makwetu. Tunaishi hapa kwa macenters na centers pia zimejaa, na hii maneno ya COVID sasa pia inafanya hatuwezi kuwa na ile distance. Angalau tungekuwa pale nyumbani ingekuwa afadhali.
Kuna mahindi ambayo vyakula tulipanda mashambani na mashamba yote yameenda na maji.
Mimi binafsi na watu wengi sana tuliathiriwa na maji kwa sababu tulikuwa tunaishi kule chini karibu na bahari.